Stop scrolling for a second, because what I'm about to share can literally rewire the way you live your life. I'm Tony Robbins, and today we're talking about something that can change your entire approach to success: dopamine anchoring. You've been told discipline is about forcing yourself, grinding, pushing through pain. But what if I told you it's not about willpower, it's about wiring? What if I told you that by mastering how your brain releases dopamine, you could make discipline feel good? Because when discipline feels rewarding, you stop fighting yourself and start flowing toward your goals. Most people believe discipline is about forcing themselves to do what they hate, grinding through pain, pushing when they're exhausted, and somehow finding enough willpower to keep going. But that's why they fail, because the human brain doesn't chase pain, it avoids it. Your nervous system is wired for one thing: pleasure, reward, fulfillment. If you keep linking discipline with suffering, your brain will sabotage you every single time. The real power lies in association. If you can teach your brain that effort equals reward, that showing up equals satisfaction, that consistency equals pride, you'll flip the switch that changes everything. This is what dopamine anchoring is all about. Every time you take a step toward your goal, you must celebrate it. Emotionally, mentally, physically. You anchor that action with positive reinforcement. You don't wait for external validation or some massive breakthrough. You create your own feedback loop right now. That's how you build unstoppable momentum. When you wake up early, don't tell yourself, "This sucks." Tell yourself, "This is who I am, someone who does what others won't." When you choose the gym over comfort, breathe in that energy, feel the pride, own that moment, anchor it to pleasure. Your brain begins to crave it. It starts linking hard work to happiness, not exhaustion. And when that happens, discipline stops being a chore. It becomes your new source of dopamine, your new addiction, your new power. This is how you master yourself, not by fighting your instincts, but by reprogramming them. Now, the second truth is this: dopamine doesn't just appear when you achieve something. It appears when you anticipate it. That's why most people are trapped by distraction. They get their dopamine hit not from doing, but from scrolling, comparing. Consuming cheap dopamine is destroying your focus. But if you learn to delay gratification, to make your brain anticipate the reward of meaningful work, you'll become unstoppable. You must retrain your reward system to release dopamine not for validation, but for progress. That means every time you sit down to work, visualize the satisfaction of completion before you even start. That anticipation fires your motivation. Every time you resist a distraction, remind yourself, "I'm building my strength." You start taking back control of your brain's chemistry. When you reward yourself for focus, for presence, for consistency, not just for outcomes, you create long-term motivation, because the truth is your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined reward. It only responds to the emotional signal you give it. So start sending the right signals. Stop feeding it cheap dopamine from distractions. Feed it with deep fulfillment from purpose. That's how you rewire your brain to crave progress, not pleasure. You're not broken. You're just running the wrong program. Change what your brain anticipates, and you'll change what it chases. And once that shift happens, discipline becomes your default state. You'll wake up driven, focused, and alive, not because you have to, but because your brain has learned to love the process of growth. That's the power of rewiring reward. That's how you make discipline feel easy. Your environment is programming you every single day, whether you realize it or not. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the spaces you live and work in, all of it shapes your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Most people fail not because they're weak, but because they keep trying to grow in toxic soil. You cannot plant seeds of greatness in an environment of distraction, negativity, and small thinking. If you want to rewire your brain for discipline and dopamine control, you must first rewire your surroundings. Every time you walk into a room that triggers your old habits, your brain fires the same neural pathways that lead you back to comfort, procrastination, and easy pleasure. But when you design your environment for success, when your workspace inspires focus, your friends talk vision instead of gossip, your phone becomes a tool instead of a trap, you begin to win by default. Dopamine responds to triggers. So ask yourself what in your environment triggers distraction and what triggers drive. If your phone lights up every 30 seconds, it's not just a notification. It's a hit of cheap dopamine teaching your brain that pleasure comes from interruption. You must reclaim control. Remove the noise. Build spaces that anchor you to your goals. Surround yourself with people who make you want to level up, who celebrate your growth, who challenge your excuses. You don't need motivation when your environment naturally fuels discipline. You become a product of your design. Create a space that reflects who you're becoming, not who you were. And when your environment supports your purpose, discipline stops being a fight. It becomes a flow. You no longer push against resistance. You align with momentum. Then there's energy, the fuel that drives every decision you make. Without energy, even the best intentions collapse. Discipline isn't just a mindset. It's a physiological state. You cannot stay consistent when your body is drained, your sleep is shallow, your mind is foggy, and your emotions are running on empty. Energy creates momentum, and momentum builds identity. That's why the most successful people guard their energy like it's sacred. They understand that what you put into your body, what you feed your mind, and how you manage your emotions all determine how far you can go. When you eat clean, move daily, hydrate deeply, and breathe consciously, you're not just maintaining health, you're training your nervous system for power. You're telling your body, I'm preparing for something greater. When your energy rises, your vision expands, your focus sharpens, your discipline strengthens. You stop relying on willpower and start operating from vitality. Dopamine responds to energy. It thrives on movement, engagement, progress. That's why action beats thought every time. When you move your body, you move your mind. When you take one step forward, your physiology shifts and suddenly motivation catches up. Don't wait to feel ready. Move first and your chemistry will follow. Protect your energy, manage your inputs, honor your body. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. When your energy is strong, your focus deepens. When your focus deepens, your progress accelerates. And when progress accelerates, dopamine anchors discipline into your identity. You stop chasing motivation and start embodying it. That's how the great ones operate, not from exhaustion, but from energized clarity. You owe yourself that level of power. Every time you repeat a behavior, you're teaching your brain what to crave next. That's the secret behind dopamine anchoring. It's not about suppressing pleasure. It's about redirecting it. Most people associate dopamine only with distraction, scrolling, junk food, endless noise. But dopamine isn't the enemy. It's the messenger of motivation, the signal that tells your brain, this matters, do it again. The problem is you've trained your brain to crave what makes you weaker instead of what makes you stronger. You scroll for hours because your brain associates that behavior with reward. But what if you could flip that pattern? What if your brain started craving the gym, deep work, discipline, growth? You can by linking dopamine to the right habits. Every time you complete a hard task, celebrate it. Take a breath, acknowledge the win. Let your body feel that sense of progress. That moment of acknowledgement tells your brain, this is pleasure too. And when you repeat that loop, effort followed by positive emotion, you rewire your reward system. Your brain begins to chase the process, not the outcome. This is how world-class performers think. They don't wait for motivation. They build it chemically through repetition and emotion. You can do the same. Attach positive meaning to every act of discipline. Turn struggle into satisfaction. Anchor your dopamine to the journey of becoming your best self, not the instant gratification of escape. Because once your brain finds joy in progress, you'll never need to force yourself again. You'll want it. Discipline becomes desire. Growth becomes pleasure. And that's when life transforms from a grind into a game you're excited to play every day. Your identity is the foundation of your discipline. You can't act like a winner if deep down you still believe you're unworthy, lazy, or broken. Behavior follows belief. Every choice you make is a reflection of the story you tell yourself about who you are. If your identity is rooted in the past, your failures, your pain, your mistakes, you'll keep recreating them no matter how hard you try to change your habits. But when you decide to rewrite your identity, to see yourself as someone disciplined, driven, unstoppable, you create a new standard for your life. The key is not trying to change, but becoming the type of person who does. You don't go to the gym to lose weight. You go because you're an athlete. You don't read to seem smart. You read because you're a student of life. You don't meditate to calm down. You do it because you're centered, grounded, and intentional. Every time you follow through, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Your habits are proof of your identity, not punishment for your flaws. So speak differently to yourself. Stop saying, I'm not consistent, and start saying, I'm learning consistency. Stop saying, I'm lazy, and start saying, I'm building momentum. The words you repeat become your reality. When you believe in your power to transform, your actions rise to match that belief. This is what separates the extraordinary from the average, the courage to see themselves as more than their past. You're not your mistakes. You're not your fears. You're the one writing the next chapter. And when your identity aligns